Welcome to 284 Media's Just for the Record. I am your host, Kamal Haynes, and today I will be interviewing 6th District candidate Myron Walwyn. Walwyn, who is a former Minister of Education, will be contesting this upcoming general election under the National Democratic Party. On today's episode, we will be asking the attorney at law and businessman some of the tough questions that need answers. Well, stay tuned right after this break. We'll be right back with more Just for the Record after this short break.
Rashford made it, Manchester United have come from behind to lead.
At home or on the go, watch CCT Live. Download our app and carry your favorite TV shows, news, or live sports anywhere you go. Visit cctbvi.com/live, select your package, and tune in.
There are many ways to enjoy life. Like so many ways to count on Popular.
We now return with more Just for the Record. Welcome back, viewers. As mentioned prior to the break, joining me on Just for the Record is former Education Minister Myron Walwyn, who will be contesting the upcoming general election as a 6th District candidate under the National Democratic Party. Welcome, Mr. Walwyn, and thank you so much for joining us on Just for the Record.
It's a pleasure to be here, Kamal.
Okay. Well, I want to dive straight into the questions. Firstly, for those persons who are unaware, just walk me through your academic training and professional career.
I'm an attorney by law. As you said before, I'm a former Minister of Education, having served 2 terms in that capacity and 2 terms as the in Legislative Council, or the House of Assembly is called now. I'm an attorney by profession. I'm the managing partner of Travis Thorpe Alberga, a firm that has numerous offices around the world, focusing mainly on the corporate side of the financial services industry. My first profession was in the field of hospitality. I have a certification from Cornell University in hotel restaurant management. I'm a notary public as well, and I'm also a certified mediator with the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court.
Okay. And what would you say is your purpose in life?
Well, that's a very broad question, Kamal, but what I would say is what makes me feel good is being able to use the skills that I have to make life better for people. I enjoy that very much because very often, even in the community, as like the PVI, as educated as we are, sometimes people don't know how to maneuver certain things to achieve what they want to achieve. And I enjoyed that very much in my last role in the House of Assembly and as a minister. And I'm happy to be able to, I want to be able to provide that again. This time though, as a primary caretaker of District 6, a district that has done so much for me. And a district that I believe, with the skills that I've had, the exposure that I've received, that I can make life better for the people of that district.
Mm-hmm. And how does this purpose align with being a politician?
I think I've just pretty much answered that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I just had to follow up with the question. So in terms of why did the decision to return to the political arena? We do know you would have obviously contested last election. Yes. I would have heard you previously stating that you had no plans really to run, but why you returned to political arena?
Yeah, as you rightly said, I had no plans of running this time, and I think people also too, if I ran, would have expected me to run as an at-large candidate. I know I'm running in a district. Over the last 2 years or so, a number of calls were coming to me from persons in District 6 about a higher level of representation, and they were raising a number of issues. From youth unemployment issues to infrastructural issues, to lack of opportunities, to not even having a simple district meeting, not being able to see your district representative as much as you should, and not getting briefed well in terms of what was happening in the country and how it affected their lives. The calls became stronger, and about, I think, 2 months ago or so, a group came to me raising some of the very same concerns. About the various issues. They mentioned the COI report and how they saw changes being made and nobody's explaining to them how it affects their lives. They mentioned the constitutional review that's going on and whether or not they will be represented properly, their views will be represented properly as a community. The Police Act was one of the issues that they raised as well in terms of their rights possibly being abrogated, and not really feeling as if what exists currently would have been sufficient to represent them. And of course, in addition to the economic issues and lack of opportunity issues and infrastructural issues and so on. When they came to me, I listened, and I went back and I pondered it in my heart. And it's a community that I grew up in, coming from Free Bottom Estate. And I felt a tug inside of me, that said that if they come to me, it means that they must need help. And I decided to offer myself.
Okay. And you just briefly touched on it as it relates to the 6th district, choosing to run in the 6th district as opposed to territory at large. Why should the people of the 6th district elect you as their representative?
Because I have a proven track record of getting things done. I believe that in my last capacity as Minister for Education, the education system grew tremendously under me, to the point where at the CXC level for 2 years in a row, the BVI was top in the OECS. Was able to look at a number of significant programs that helped a lot of people, a lot of young people in particular. The Youth Employment Services Program that was geared towards people who were either unemployed or underemployed. And we were able to put a very successful program together, something which can be replicated in District 6 with government assistance. But if government is not in a position to assist, certainly outside of District 4, the capital, most of the businesses in the BVI are housed in District 6. And I do believe that if you have a representative who is sufficiently aggressive, you can form alliances with those businesses to assist the unemployment problem that exists in District 6. I'm someone who is well-researched. If I go to the House of Assembly, I'm always well prepared. I read what I'm supposed to read, and I can give representation at a much higher level. And I want to bring that level of discipline that I have, that level of understanding of how the governmental system works, and to be able to work in conjunction with the people of District 6 to make life better for them. I believe certainly that voting for me would yield much better results than the residents of District 6 are currently getting.
And what are some of the issues you intend on tackling head-on if elected as the 6th district within that particular district?
Well, the first thing that we need, and every district needs to have, that is a district plan. The way in which we go about addressing problems in the country and in the particular districts it's in a sort of a haphazard sort of way. So one of the very first things that we want to do once elected is to devise a district plan in conjunction with the people of District 6. There are various communities in the district that have varying issues. We want to be able to document those issues and present a plan that the constituents would have and that I would have, and we're on the same page. Right now, one of the things that don't happen in District 6, there are no quarterly meetings. There are no meetings at all between the representative and the district. Some have told me it has been years since any have taken place. So you take that plan, and in quarterly meetings, you discuss the progress as you move along, and new things, of course, will be added to the plan. You have issues of unemployment and underemployment in that district. You drive through Purcell Estate, you drive through Bellevue, you drive through Bargos Bay, and you see young men on the side pretty much doing nothing. And when you sit down and you speak with them, because if you don't speak with them, you're going to think they don't want to do anything, but when you sit down and you speak with them, you recognize that they have ambition, but they just need somebody to point them in the right direction. Many of them came up with some brilliant business ideas, for instance, that I know if we had the National Business Bureau still in place, that many of them would have been able to bring those ideas to life. And certainly one of the things that I would want to do or want to see happen, if I'm lucky enough, or the people put their confidence in me to get elected, is to have the National Business Bureau up and running again, where you can provide funding and you could provide support and guidance to people who have business ideas but don't have any capital. And a lot of persons with that situation reside in District 6. Again, as I said before, that there are a lot of significant businesses in that district as well. who I am sure once approached and once encouraged to take their corporate responsibility very seriously, would help with the unemployment issue, and will also help, because one of the things we want to be able to do is to create a district fund where we can assist persons who are having difficulties, medical issues, and all sort of different things that come up, particularly in light of the fact now that the district allocation that members used to get, legislators used to get, has now been moved to the social development department. There are still other issues in the districts that if you went to social development under the current construct of the program, you won't get assistance. So now you have to now form public-private alliances and partnerships to try to see how you can address the issues that the district may have. Infrastructural issues, there are many infrastructural issues, from roads to guts to all manner of things. When the rain falls heavy, people's properties are being flooded and disrupting their lives. You have situations in the district right now where people have to park at the bottom of a road and walk up the hill because the road is collapsing where they live. And there's so many of those issues that have not been addressed. And so, that is a major, major part of the plan as well that we have. You drive through the district, you see all these derelict vehicles, you see the place. The bushes, yes, got cut the last week or 2 weeks ago or so. But in terms of just beautification programs, to just uplift the spirit of the district and the people in the district, we have a comprehensive plan of key priorities that we've been sharing with the district and getting the views of persons. One of the points as well that I raised when talking to the young people, the technical school that is there now in Bargos Bay, that was something that I envisaged and put together. It is used as a technical secondary school in the day, but we can use it at a trade school in the evening because the building is there, all the equipment is there. Yes, it can be a trade school for all of the persons in the territory in the evenings, but because it is located in District 6, it provides an added benefit to the young men and women who live in that district, or anybody for that matter, who might want to improve their skill sets. You just put the programs together. There are no homework programs, for instance, in the district. Parents are busy working 2-3 jobs to try to provide for their family. We have a number of teachers who live in the district, many of whom have called me and said to me, I do a little thing in the back of my home. I want to show it to you, what I'm doing here. If we were able to put those programs on proper footing, make sure that they're there so that when students come home, they have somewhere to go to help them with their homework. They have access to internet. They have all the things that they need to make them successful. These are things that don't cost a lot of money, but it calls for a district representative who is on the ground, who has good organizational skills, and who can get things done. And I submit to the people of District 6 that I am that person to get things done for the district.
Okay. My next question is there any specific ministry of focus that you will be seeking to manage if elected? We'll be right back with more Just for the Record after this short break. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull.
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean.
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne.
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine.
You did a pretty hard workout today, so perhaps...
And as you can see, it's actually
you're feeling it.
Alonzo Boynes.
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows.
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute beginner.
You are an absolute beginner.
And Seth Graham.
It bites. It will bite.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy.
There goes my new car. Guess I'm back on my bike.
Your bike? CG offers new car replacement. Remember my monster truck days? Well, one night I attempted a 50-foot pogo double backflip. I landed it and went to karaoke. It wasn't until afterward that my car got hit by that fisherman. He gave me some great mahi-mahi though. Anyway, they paid fast and got me in a new car. Now call a cab. I want you to meet my alpaca guy.
New car replacement for the first year of ownership. CG Insurance. Good like that.
We now return with more Just for the Record. And my next question is there any specific ministry of focus that you will be seeking to manage if elected?
As I said before, my primary focus, because people don't get elected to ministries, you get elected to the House of Assembly to represent people. And that is really what my primary focus is. My primary focus is to seek to get elected so that I can uplift the lives of the people in District 6. I can also, once elected, provide a higher level of representation at the national level for the district, coming with ideas because of my background in tourism, my background in financial services, and all the other skills that I've acquired over my lifetime, whether formally or otherwise by experience. I can come with ideas that can help to increase the economic base and the income of the government, thereby resulting in a larger portion of monies being available to the various districts to assist the residents in the district.
Okay. But a common belief among the average person is that most politicians are liars and are thieves. What is your view on this statement?
Well, first of all, I disagree with the statement in the first instance. But I can understand why people will have those views. And the unfortunate thing is that those views are pretty much painted by politicians themselves. And I have been someone, Kamal, I know you haven't been here for a very long time, but throughout my campaigns, I've always been calling for us to stick to the issues that are affecting the country. For the population of the BVI is far too educated for the level of politics that the politicians create around this time of year or this season. There are a myriad of issues that affect the lives of people in this country. And we are to bring those issues to the forefront of the people and trust the people to make the right decision. Trust them to decide who they believe is best positioned to take their lives forward. If we continue with the level of politics of lies and half-truths and personal attacks and all of those things, you will end up getting what we got in the COI, where pretty much we have created those things. And when we're asked truthfully whether what we're saying is so or not, then you see us start to backpedal. But the damage has already been done. I've called for debates because I believe, again, that is a very good way for constituents to test the readiness of the representative to work with them to make their lives better over the next 4 years. I issued a public challenge to the current incumbent of District 6, and I hope she accepts it, to give the public a chance, the constituents of District 6, to the same way you're asking me questions that are important to you and important to viewers, that they will have the same chance to be able to ask those questions so that they can make an informed decision about who is best positioned to represent them over the next 4 years. But unless we raise the level of the politics to that of issues and solutions, we're going to end up having this label that people have placed on politicians. And of course, the politicians themselves have pretty much, I should say, placed the label on themselves by their very conduct.
Okay. So my next question, you are presently before the courts for a serious charge of breach of trust in relation to the Admiral Stout High School perimeter wall project. Do you think that this matter has negatively impacted your political career?
The people who know me know me. I would say that over the 8 years that I served the people of this country honestly and honorably. I can say that without fear of contradiction. If for 1 second I thought that, one, I did something that was remotely dishonest, or there was a chance of me being found guilty, I would not be here in front of you. I would not embarrass myself. I would not embarrass my family. I would certainly not ever try to insult the intelligence of the people of this country. I am an attorney now for the last 16 years. The first years of my training in law, I was a Crown Counsel at the DPP's office. And I have the ability to read through a file, read through information, juxtapose them with the law, to see what is the prospect of success on a particular matter, because I used to do it with the police. So I still have that ability. I have conferred with persons who I know in the legal fraternity who have looked at the matter. Let the matter take its course. I have my concerns with the criminal justice system, like many persons have their concerns about it right now. And that is going to reignite something in me. I remember when I became a lawyer the first time, we opened up a law firm, myself and my partner, Ingrid Moses Catliff. We said that we were going to give 40 hours a quarter, I think it was, of free legal advice to people, because there were so many people in the community, whether it was probate matters or civil matters or whatever it is, that needed representation, needed assistance, but didn't have the funding to do it, because obviously to engage a lawyer can be quite expensive. This situation that has happened with me has sort of reignited in me now the issues in the criminal justice system. And so I'm going to also commit to help persons and provide representation and advice to persons who may be facing criminal proceedings in the court. Because you read the news, I read the news. You've noticed over the last several years or so, when you read the news and you see people being charged, you're wondering what the charge is about. And then when you get the gist of the matter, you don't even have to be a lawyer to see that something is wrong somewhere along the line. And then you see a police act coming forward that tramples on people's fundamental rights and freedoms. And it says that there's something going on with the criminal justice system that has to be looked at. And as I said, it has reignited something in me, because if a charge like that could be brought to me, who have 16 years of experience in law, then what happens to somebody else who perhaps may not know how to defend themselves? Some people would say, well, you probably should have waited until the matter is resolved. But I would say to those persons that we teach our children every day that you persevere in the face of adversity. Somebody accuses you of something. Do you sit down and wait until your accuser then realizes that they're wrong and put your life on hold? Or do you persevere? Our country has a significant number of challenges right now. And what we need are persons who can persevere in the face of adversity. And I am one of those persons who can persevere in the face of adversity, and I'm doing just that.
Okay. And what is your view on the recently concluded Commission of Inquiry?
I have some concerns on it, and they're twofold. I took the time and I read the report 3 times. I'm an avid reader, so I like to read through things. I've exposed certain views on it. I don't agree with some of the legal principles that were pronounced or enunciated in the report. Some of them I don't agree with because they're not right. I found that certain parts of the report was unjudicious. I certainly found that based on the findings that were largely based on suppositions at that point, that to get to the point of suspending our Constitution, I think, I don't know how you could arrive at that decision, because to take away the ability of persons to elect their leaders in the 21st century, to me, is extremely draconian. But that aside, the whole principle of the COI raised some issues about our governmental systems that we have to pay attention to. So in that regard, yes, I say we must revisit our systems, we must strengthen those systems to make sure that good governance and transparency and accountability that we're seeking is achieved. We have to also bear in mind that corruption must have a pathway to walk. No minister in government can do anything without collusion for people who work in various positions. So you have to strengthen the governmental systems. And I haven't seen that part of it happen yet. I've seen a lot of policemen on the ground, but the technical support that needs to happen in the civil service to help to build capacity and to try to prevent some of the very same things that we have alleged have happened, I'm not seeing that happen. And I don't know if that's somewhere in the plan, but if it is, it needs to be brought to the forefront. But yes, we have to build our governmental systems. One of the things that I've said in the past is that regardless of what anybody says, no government, no politician in and of himself can guarantee good governance, transparency, and accountability, particularly in the structure of the government, how it works. Not just because the government itself or the politicians themselves don't have any control of the civil service, which is a problem. Those virtues of good governance and all of those things must be entrenched in the system. So whether politicians will come and politicians will go, but the system must be so strong. The integrity that we're looking for must be built into the system so that even if you have politicians who may have nefarious views or nefarious intentions, that very system prevents them from being able to be successful. If you take a look at the US system, for instance, and the proclivities of Donald Trump and his erratic behavior, if the systems of the United States didn't have the integrity built into them, then he could have done significant damage to the United States because of his view and the way he operated. And we have to look at it from that aspect. Build the integrity in the system so that whoever you plug in as a minister, that person is only a bird of passage. They can't do any damage to the system because the integrity is built in. And that is what I want to see happen.
Okay. Some people have criticized today's politicians as only seeking leadership for personal and often financial benefits. What is your view on this statement?
Again, I understand how the public could feel about it. Everybody will have to answer that question for themselves. Certainly for me, that's not the case at all. I've been involved in business for a number of years. So when you become, for instance, a minister, you devote a significant amount of time to your ministerial responsibilities and also to the issues that your constituents may have, and you neglect your business. So you end up, losing money on that end because you're not managing your business properly, obviously, because you can't manage it, somebody else has to do it. There are not enough hours in the day, and so you're dedicating your time to service. So, like as I said, everybody will have to answer that question themselves, but certainly for me, it's all about service and trying to make the lives of people better. Just as I said to you, I wasn't going to run, but because those persons came to me in District 6, and I understand the issues that they're facing, and I believe if I have the skills and I want to be able to lend assistance to those issues.
Okay. And so my next question is, recently you would have expressed at a public meeting that the Retiring Allowances Act 2021 needs to be partially repealed. I'm sure by now you would have heard the comments made by the Premier alleging you receiving some funds through the same act in excess of $200,000 in a lump sum and an excess of $5,000 monthly. How accurate is the Premier's statement? We'll be right back with more Just for the Record after this short break.
Today, I am doing Kamal treatments with Beyond the Reef. Today, we are doing shark research. So today, we are doing whale research with Beyond the Reef. And wherever I go, I take CCT with me because my life is unlimited.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, I can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What you really? Hey, this ain't like you,
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out of trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, You know I huff. I watching ball. I even watching football. Dog. Nickelodeon. Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
We now return with more Just for the Record. Recently, you would have expressed at a public meeting that the Retirement Allowances Act 2021 needs to be partially repealed. I'm sure by now you would have heard the comments made by the Premier alleging you receiving some funds through the same act in excess of $200,000 in a lump sum and an excess of $5,000 monthly. How accurate is the Premier's statement?
Well, I think what we have to stick on, rather than just the accuracy of his statement, is the whole truth of the situation. Every single member of the House, based on the law, who has served 2 terms, all the way back to Honorable Lavity Stout, receives a gratuity and a monthly pension if you have served 2 terms. That's the law. In recent years, some of the older members of the House, former members, have been raising concerns about the fact that they can't live off of the pension that they have received. Obviously, you had a rise in cost of living and all of those things. And when we were in government, I think it was back in 2016, we invited someone here to look at this issue of the compensation for members. We got a gentleman named Dr. Errol Court from Antigua. He's a doctor of laws, and he was a former Deputy Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda and Minister of Finance as well. He came in, he did an assessment for us. He gave us back his findings. His findings were on par with what we were thinking. Don't increase the salary of members. Just address that issue of their pension and their gratuity and the way it's calculated. The issue was that if you're a minister, for instance, your salary was made up of allowances, your package was made up of allowances and salary. Yes? When the time came for you to retire, you were only getting your gratuity and your pension based on the salary part of your package, when in fact, in many respects, your allowances and your salary were half and half. So essentially you're being pensioned on half of the money, which is your salary. Because over time, over many years, members didn't want to increase their salary, so they gave themselves allowances. So you would have a minister, for instance, who would have a package of, let's say, $120,000 a year. But when it came for gratuity and pension, he only would have gotten that gratuity and pension on $60,000 of that amount. So that's where the problem came in. The recommendation that came from Dr. Court, we were going to do it, to allow members to have their gratuity and their package based on the full sum. We put it on hold because the hurricane came. We found that we couldn't do something like that in the midst of suffering for people. The Verdance Party government, when they brought in that bill that is now being called the Greedy Bill, the Greedy Bill did 2 things. The first thing it did was to do what I've just said to you, which is what Dr. Court said should have been done. Make members' pension and their gratuity based on the full package instead of half. So yes, I benefited from that because I retired, just like any other member would have benefited. So the pension that I receive, every former member and every member going forward will receive that part of their pension. And I've said before, I have no issues with the first part of the bill. That is the first part of the bill. The second part of the bill is the problem that I have. And that is the part that I'm saying needs to be repealed. Because in addition to this first part that you get, a member now, if he has served 1 term, would get his full salary for every month for 2 years. If he serves 2 terms, he will get his full salary for 2 years. If he serves 3 terms, he will get his full salary every month for 3 years. And if you serve 4 or 5, you get your salary every month for 4 years, in addition to what I've just described to you in the first part of the bill. So that too something that the Premier would have said that I would have gotten. If he was to get elected and serve another term, he would get double that amount in his gratuity. If he was supposed to serve 3 terms, he would get over $600,000, $400,000 on top of what I would have received. So my concern is the second part of the bill. I have no problems with the first part, but you cannot tell me that it can be right for persons not to be working and collect a salary every single month. It is wrong. If I am elected, I stand to benefit from the second part of the bill as well, but I'm calling it out from now because the country cannot afford it. You will essentially be paying for 2 governments at a minimum at the same time. One government that is in and one government that is out. And the figure also includes the Speaker of the House, who has not been elected by people, because it is for members of the legislative of the House of Assembly, and the Speaker is also a member. When you add up all of that money, the country can't afford that with all the social ills that we have. I have no problem with the first part of the bill. I think it's fair. But the second part, to pay yourself when you're not working, and it's rather worse if you're able-bodied, because you probably can go back out into the private sector and still work. So you still get your private sector pay, and you're still collecting a check every month from the Treasury as if you're working. So the only leader that has come forward and said that he will repeal that second part of the bill is Honorable Marlon Penn. I heard the Premier with his public spectacle. It was quite disgraceful, if you ask me, because for a Minister of Finance to go on a political stage and call out what a creditor or a pensioner is making is grossly unethical. But to distort the issue to say, I got this, the real issue is the fact that persons like himself would be paid a monthly salary when he's not working. He needs to come out and have the courage and say he's going to repeal that second part of the bill, because that is really where the issue is.
So in other words, just to be clear, you would have benefited so far solely from the first part of the bill?
I benefit from the first part of the bill because just like any other member would benefit. But the second part of the bill takes effect from the last House of Assembly that he was a part of.
Okay.
So from that last part of the House of Assembly going forward, members would benefit. Persons like myself who were not there before would not benefit from that second part of the bill. But whether I benefit or not is not the issue. The issue is that the country cannot afford that second portion of the bill.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so my next question is considering with this in mind as it relates to having this bill partially repealed. I know you would have been one of the proponents of having it repealed. Is your entire party on board?
The entire party and the leader of the party, Honorable Marlon Penn, has made it very clear that the second portion of the bill needs to be repealed.
Okay. All right, just switching gears briefly with limited time on the clock. I want your take, as you would have asked a number of persons these questions as well, too. What are your views as it relates to same-sex marriage?
Kamal, I'll tell you, I became a lawyer because I saw in my very early age the rights of people being abrogated. I saw the rights of my mother being trampled on, and she didn't have a voice. And that was one of the reasons why, in the back of my mind, I became a lawyer. And one of the reasons why I offered the assistance pro bono work, the hours that I told you about previously, to people who are underrepresented. So I have a healthy respect for the rights of people. I believe, as provided in the Constitution, every single person has the right to private and family life. I believe that. I do not believe that I'm qualified, or any one of us qualified, to tell another person how to live. We don't have to agree with it. But once that person is happy and they are living within the confines of the law, I believe it's a matter for them and God. And that is my view on that matter.
Okay. And in terms of, are you in favor of raising the minimum wage?
I am. I am in favor of raising the minimum wage. It's very difficult for many persons to live. But I think we have to look at it from a bigger perspective. I think we have to continue as government to work on the economy to strengthen the economy and to provide more opportunities for entrepreneurship and business growth. Look at tourism, look at financial services, look at all of those things and create opportunities for people, because look, raising the minimum wage itself alone won't address some of the issues that we have at the poverty level. And some people say we don't have any poverty in the BVI. I don't think they walk around enough. If they walk around, they'll see that there is poverty in the BVI. If you raise the minimum wage, let's say from $6 to $8, really doesn't do that much. And the reality is that even though you have a minimum wage, many employers still pay people above that minimum wage. We have to have a combination of things to improve the lives of people, because I think that's really the heart of the question. We have to make sure we have very strong social programs in place, very good housing programs in place. You have a lot of people who can't afford to pay rent. We have to look at that situation. You have to look at the whole cost of living and the cost of groceries and different things. You have to take a holistic approach to it, because if I'm working for you and you increase my salary, my wages from $6 to $8, and then I go to the grocery store, and the grocery store arbitrarily increases its price. There goes the $2 that I've gotten from you. So you have to take a very holistic approach. It's not as simple as just increasing the minimum wage. You have to take a holistic view to the issue, because the key thing is to make sure at the end of it all that people have more disposable income where they can take care of themselves and their family. That is really the crux of the matter.
Okay. And finally, due to time, where do you see the BVI in the next 10 to 20 years?
I will tell you where I want to see the BVI in the next 10 to 20 years. The BVI being a small chain of islands with a very small population that is growing, but has been lucky enough, unlike many other countries, to have two stable economic pillars: tourism and financial services. I see us doing our best to improve those two areas. I see us, and I hope that we do, look at agriculture, fishing, and different pillars that can assist in increasing the national budget of the country. I want to see us taking the resources of the country and using them for the right purposes. I want to see us develop a plan, a holistic plan of development that is passed in the House of Assembly, and that every successive government follows that plan and picks up from where the last government left off. I want us to stop this thing that if one government starts something and it's good, we knock it down and we start back from scratch and we're wasting government resources. I want us to see decent roads. I want to see decent telecommunication. I want to see a proper housing program so that people don't have to live in some of the conditions that I've seen them live in. A proper housing program where young people and older people, if they wish, could perhaps, in conjunction with the government, rent to own properties. I want to see a land bank created where young persons can get that assistance to build their first home. I want to see us to continue to invest in education, educating our people all the way up to the doctorate level. I want to see improvement in social services with all the non-communicable diseases that we have, and that we can get proper cancer treatment care and all of those things. We have the capacity and we have the resources if we continue to grow them and use them wisely to make life better for the people of the country. And that is why I continue to say that that our elections must be issues based, because if we don't, as an electorate, demand that, we're going to end up electing people who can tell the best stories, who perhaps has perfected the art of lying better than anybody else, but have very little to offer once elected. And we won't get the country to the point where it needs to get to. And so I want to encourage persons to pay attention, make the right decision, because we have all the trappings to be a model country this side of the world if we just take it seriously, if we're deliberate, if we plan well, and if we go out and execute.
Okay, well that brings the end to our Just for the Record interview. I want to thank you, Mr. Walwyn, for your time here, of course, and for obviously answering some of the tough questions for the viewers.
Thank you very much.
Okay, viewers. Well, that's all we have for today's Just for the Record. Kamal Haynes. Hope you enjoyed the content for today's Just for the Record. Until next time, bye-bye.
Welcome to Just for the Record, a political mini-series where Ron Grant, Kamal Haynes, and Jhaka Wooding sit down with the territory's present and future leaders contesting in the 2023 elections. We're tired of the same old political talking points, so we're doing something about it. We've reached out to every single candidate to ask them the tough questions. For instance, what's your take on same-sex marriage?
Every single person has the right to private and family life.
Everyone has their choice, everyone has their opinion, everyone has their beliefs.
I leave it for the professionals. You should have the right to decide. I'm not going to tell you you shouldn't do it or anything. It's not for me to do.
Marijuana.
Once it's a medical marijuana, then I have no issues with it at all.
I would support that.
Medicinal cannabis can help us with many of the ailments that our people right now are suffering from.
We have to make sure that whatever industry that we invest in, that the economics of it makes sense.
The cost of living.
We will look at all avenues and all the possibilities to ensure that we look at how we can manage the cost of living in this territory.
Living in the BVI based on that minimum wage, I think it's $6.50. How can a family survive?
It's pretty high. Rent prices are pretty high. Can we do something about the prices that within the supermarkets?
And much more, along with the not-so-serious questions as well.
I did drink a lot of guava berry during the Christmas season.
So tune in for the real story on all the territory's candidates running for office. Just for the Record, starting April 4th, 2023 on all our social media platforms, only on 284 Media.